Welcome back to the Global Business Report and Rise News. Talk sports finance. This September, a new sports league called Overtime Elite is paying high school basketball players six-figure salaries to play the sport, as well as sponsoring their educational pursuits for high school diplomas and university degrees. Take a look at a video here.
16-year-olds are getting paid six figures to play basketball in this new pro league. It's called Overtime Elite. It's about to kick off its first season, and I know you all have questions like how many players are there and who are they playing? There's 24 players broken up into 3 teams of 8, and in October they'll begin play against each other and against top programs around the country and abroad. It's all going to be centered in Atlanta, Georgia, in a brand new state-of-the-art facility built just for OTE. The league is backed by investors such as Drake, KD, Carmelo, Trey Young. The list goes on and on. But what about getting a high school diploma? They'll get their diplomas. In fact, they'll be in classes with a 4-to-1 student-teacher ratio, learning from some of the country's very best educators. In addition to their normal studies, they'll learn how to be savvy pros with courses on financial literacy, media training, and much more. And if a player decides they want to get their college degree too, OTE will put $100K towards it. So follow Overtime Elite's official pages and stay tuned for what's next, because the game's about to be changed forever.
All right, is the game about to be changed forever? Sports analyst Tunde Koiki joins us to discuss further. Tunde, good morning. Is the game about to be changed forever? Is there anything worrisome, though, about setting up a league to pay the equivalent of secondary school students six-figure salaries to play basketball?
Absolutely, because many of these kids are already stars in their own rights. Some of these kids have as many as 3 million Instagram followers. Some of these kids already even need security to be able to get around their own home cities. So there's going to be a lot of trouble going forward. I mean, some of these kids earn more than the entire coaching roster of their schools. But it was always inevitable because, I mean, the laws in the high school system in America is very clear that athletes who are in the high school system cannot receive endorsement. I think 3 states in the United States, I beg your pardon, do not allow high school athletes to receive payments or receive endorsement or have endorsement deals going forward. Even in the NCAA system, athletes are still not allowed to receive endorsement deals or earn money, but that's about to change already. The laws being changed earlier this year after so much talk about the fact that the NCAA makes billions of dollars annually, but that these athletes are not paid. Some even equate it to slave labor, using these athletes to build incredible TV schedules, gain enormous amounts of money for their school programs. And some of these schools actually have multi-million-dollar facilities. So high schools have $60 million stadiums in the United States. Yet these athletes are not being paid a dime. So if you tell these athletes that, look, I can solve 3 problems for you: basketball development, I give you the finest coaches, finest nutritionists, finest sports scientists at your disposal. Secondly, I also give you a top-class education, whereby you have in a class of just 4 students to 1 teacher, thereby improving your academic performance. Also, you're also solving an economic problem for you, economic empowerment, giving you a maximum of $100,000 to you and your family, money that you ordinarily never get. I mean, all over the country in the United States, it's a problem. Athletes are quitting high school right now and going into these kind of programs, development programs that can fast track them into the NBA or into the NFL without having to go through the rigors of amateur sports.
Thanks, Tunde. Now, the financial backing we've seen there coming from people like rapper Drake, NBA players, Kevin Durant, former Sacramento Kings general manager Brandon Williams, and others. So I think you mentioned this just a second ago. Is this all about economic empowerment for the high school level, high schoolers?
Yeah, I mean, because it's like I said, there are 3 main issues facing young kids in the school sports system in America, both at high school level and in the NCAA. And those are very clear. Like I mentioned, basketball development. You are giving these kids what they would ordinarily never have. They are not giving them the normal high school coach. They are giving them top class nutritionists, top class sports scientists, top class fitness coaches. You are giving them. You are creating a pro at an amateur level. You are giving them the very best. Look at, you are saying OT already have a multi-million-dollar facility purpose built in Atlanta for these kind of students, and they are spreading up all over the country. It's not only OTE. Secondly, you're also giving them economic empowerment. Many of these kids some of them come from economically disadvantaged backgrounds, but you're now telling them that I can give them $100,000, which goes on to change their lives. And some of them actually middle class, come from middle class families. But the truth is, a lot of these families feel that I have a son who has 3 million followers on Instagram, who is basically a star, and he cannot cash in on that right now. So those rules are already being changed. The game is already changing in America as far as this game is being concerned. And I mentioned the fact that even the NCAA is even amending its own rules to ensure that college athletes can even become, superstars in their own rights while they're still in college. They cannot earn shoe endorsement deals with shoe brands, clothing brands, car dealerships. It's changing rapidly.
And Tunde, when we look at funding youth initiatives in sport, is this the model to follow? I mean, because it looks really expensive, but is this the model to follow? Is this how it's done?
Is this how it's done where? In Nigeria?
Well,
in the United States or across
so
the world?
what I'm saying is, if one was to if you want to start and fund a youth initiative for sports, is this the model that you look at and say that's what we copy, that's how we do it?
Where? In Nigeria or in the United States?
In the United States, with what Overtime is doing right now.
In the United States, absolutely. Because like I said, these kids are absolute stars already. And yet you are limiting their potential earning power because of some archaic rules that have existed from time immemorial. The days of the Thursday and Friday night lights games under the floodlights, marching bands, cheerleaders, those days are rapidly diminishing. It's a romantic idea of an amateur athlete being a high school star, being a star in his hometown, but they're telling him that you just have to be an amateur. You cannot make money from your celebrity status or from your talent. And let's be honest, it's a short career. Just one bad injury can end your career at any point. So these kids are trying to cash in on it as quickly as possible. And if you can give them a pathway whereby, like I said, you can give them economic empowerment, put money in their pockets and the money in the pockets of their family, ensure that they have the best education possible. I mean, this OTE is saying that, look, if at some point you decide that you don't want to go into the NBA, you don't want to be a professional athlete, we will give you $100,000 to fund your education. That's incredible. In a country where people are still dying, people who are working are still paying off student loans from a decade ago. And you're telling them you're going to give them $100,000 to fund their education. That's incredible. You're also giving them the best basketball support system, nutritionists, coaches, sports scientists, everything you can need to excel. It's a model that I think a lot of people begin to cash into, and it's already happening. Some of these kids, like I said, are leaving high school, quitting high school altogether, and going into these kind of programs that can fast track them from there directly into the major leagues, the NBA, and even the NFL.
Great stuff. Still on basketball, we've been all celebrating the Tigers and their recent victory. They're heading off, I think, to the World Cup equivalent for basketball. Bringing this home here to Africa, how would we have to see the same level of private sector involvement to replicate what OT is doing here?
What I would even like us to do is to even adopt the system that America says is no longer working. Let's even start from there before we can move on to this, do I say, hyper model that Americans are moving into. The school sports system in Nigeria, as we know it, is not even dead. It doesn't exist anymore. We are struggling to find school to actually hold annual school sports, even at Principal's Cup games. We don't even have a functional NUGA anymore. Private initiatives are like the IFL are creating football leagues for universities. Those are the private initiatives. But in the American school sports system, it is schools that are actually the very bedrock of sports development, not private initiatives. We need that in Nigeria now. We need actually schools to actually start investing in the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Sports to collaborate and create a proper functioning school sports system.
Great stuff. Tunde Koiki, sports analyst. Thank you so much for taking us through that headline. Appreciate your insights.